you're going on a patrol, you want to have a purpose to that patrol. And what we're going to try to do is, using the least amount of military terms as possible and just putting it into normal civilian lingo, is how you break that down and how we accomplish going on a patrol and not leave anything out. The first thing we need to do is we need to decide, what's the purpose of this patrol? What's the mission? Is there a buddy of yours that you were talking to on the ham radio that lives like 3 miles from you, and all of a sudden he's been radio silent for 2 or 3 days, and you just want to go do a little recon and you want to check on the family and make sure they're okay? That's a perfectly good patrol, and so you need to start planning for that. So the first thing you do is you get your situation down. What is the situation? You gather intelligence from all your resources. You have that ham radio. Maybe there's another neighbor. Maybe you have a neighbor that's spitting distance away from you, and you can go talk to him, and maybe he's seen them, or he can tell you what's going on around the area because he's been talking to somebody else. But gather all the information you can before you go on that patrol. And then you need to define that mission that of the patrol itself, or the recon. And it's kind of like a format like who, what, when, where, why. So who are you taking with you? Is that buddy that lives right next door, is he going to go with you? You're going to have a 2-man fire team on this mission, or do you have more than that? And so you figure out who's going with you. You figure out what you want to accomplish. Now in this one, it's pretty obvious. We want to make sure that Dick and Jane that live 3 miles away, that they're safe and sound. Okay, when do you want to do this? Is it better to do it at nighttime? Do you have that capability? Do you have night vision where you can move quietly at night and still keep security up? Where are you taking off from? Are you going to meet at your place? You're going to meet at your buddy's place? Or are you going to meet at a location that's separate from both of your homes? So the how of the who, what, when, why, where, and how is, how are we going to accomplish this? How are we going to get there? Are we going to take horses? Or we're going to walk? Or we're going to take a buggy part way, an ATV or something, and then debark from there on foot? So that leads you right into the routes. And you're never going to want to come and go the same exact route, because somebody can ambush you pretty easy. And that goes without saying, and it's pretty common sense. But also on routes, if you want to go, if Dick and Jane live south of your location, you might want to head north and then box around and say there's a plot of woods. Go around those woods or through those woods and then start heading back north to get to where you're going. The formations that you're going to use to do this, are you going to be in a file formation? You're going to be in a wedge formation? These may change due to the terrain and the weather. How you cross danger areas. Are you going to do scroll the road if you have a small unit? Are you going to post up security on both sides of the road, then move across? What if it's a large danger area? Are you going to bound across? What happens if you come into contact with somebody? Are you going to do a bounding retreat? These are all things you need to look at and talk about and have in that plan before you take off. Also, you need to think about water. How long are you going to be gone? What are you going to need as far as water and food? How much ammo are you going to take with you when you're moving on this patrol? Is there a place that you can resupply? Are there places en route that you can stash food or cache different ammo? Do you have a relative that is along the route that if you need to hold up for the night, you can hold up at their place? These are things that you can put in place to set yourself up for success when you're on this patrol. Okay, communications. Let's talk about the radios. Everybody needs to know the frequencies. At midnight, are you going to change channels or different frequencies on the radio? Have brevity codes. Once you get past this county road or this area, are you going to call back and tell the wife at home that, hey, I've made it to phase line blue? Don't say, hey, it's County Road 14 is where we're at. Just make brevity codes for those sort of things. Have call signs. Don't use your real name. Just some tips on reconnaissance is, it's generally checking out the area or a location that you may want to go into. Maybe it's just a general reconnaissance. Maybe there's no follow-on action after that, but you just want to know what's going on in that general area. Maybe later on you'll move that direction, or it could be a combat operation could develop out of that. When you're out there reconning, you want to move slow and deliberate. I know we've talked about SILS before, the stop, look, listen, smell, and we do that right when we get into an area that we're going to start our patrol from. You stop, look, listen, smell, you absorb what's going on around you. That doesn't just end when you're in that static position. Once you start moving, once you start patrolling, you need to take in your surroundings. Your head is going to be on a pivot. We want to have 360-degree security, whether we're stationary or static, or whether we're moving. So every person in that patrol has their area of responsibility. Okay, the point man, he's got this area of responsibility. He's looking for. He may be looking for tracks, or he may be looking for the enemy. Maybe the enemy's got a patrol out there. There's 1,000 things that are going on with the point man. He's probably keeping his own pace. He knows he's keeping heading on which direction they're going, so he's got the compass. The guy in the rear, 6 o'clock man, he may be counter-tracking. So every position in that patrol has a duty and responsibility. If you're going through a big area where the terrain is more open, you can spread out. If you're going through an area that is more dense, you want to contract a little bit. You're kind of like an accordion when you're doing this. The weather can play a factor. If it's raining really, really bad and it's hard for me to see, I'm going to need to be closer to the man in front of me, and everybody's going to have to be closer to me. Now, having said that, you don't want to be so close that if somebody hits a booby trap, a landmine, tripwire, that it goes off, and then it would take out more than one person at a time. You want to have control of your formation as you're moving in the patrol, but you also want to be able to be as flexible as possible, and that's a concept that it's really hard for people to understand. They say, "Oh, I'll be 5 yards back." No, it's totally gonna flex. And then common sense. I mean, you can't say enough about common sense. Obviously, you don't want to stop in a danger area. That's common sense. If you're out in the middle of somewhere, don't just stop, take a knee, and huddle up. Move off into the wood line and do that. These are all things that we can look at, put together to form a plan to have a successful patrol.